Hi, I'm Tamara Scott. I'd like to introduce you to the materials and tools you will need to provide for the Elegant Garden class. The first item is a bead mat. This is the surface we will use to bead upon. Next, you will need a few beading needles. I prefer a size 11 or 12 beading needle. You will need some type of beading thread. I use 6-pound fire line. If you prefer nylon thread like Nemo or Ceylon, this can also be used. A small bottle of tacky glue is required, and you also need a popsicle stick to apply the glue to your project. Flat nose or chain nose pliers come in handy to flatten the thread, making it easy to thread your needle. Next is a tool for cutting your beading threads close to your beadwork. Here are 3 examples: thread snips, friskers, or wire cutters. We will be using a measuring tape to determine the size of your bracelet. This will be used to measure your wrist. An alternate would be to use a string and a ruler. You will need a large pair of sewing shears or joist chin scissors. We will use these for trimming the leather. Starting and ending your threads. I use half-hitch knots to add thread to my project. When threading your needle, use your flat nose or chain nose pliers to flatten your thread before threading the needle. You want to give the needle a white background. This makes it easier to thread the needle. The white of your pattern works well. Bring your thread down about 6 inches from your needle. This is going to be a single thread. And so if we're going to add thread to our beadwork, we're just going to go ahead and work into our beads and hang on to our tail, leaving about 6 inches. We're going to go underneath the thread in between the 2 beads, creating about a 1/2 inch loop. You're going to go into the loop with your needle and guide your knot in between the 2 beads. Then you'll continue into your beadwork. At this point, I trim my tail and continue beading. Now, if your thread starts to get too short and you need to add more thread to work with, we're going to do the same thing. Go underneath the thread in between the 2 beads, make a 1/2 inch loop, go into the loop with your needle, and guide the knot between your beads. And you'll continue into a few more beads. Remove your needle and trim the thread flush. For the Elegant Garden project, I use single knots when starting and ending my threads. Square stitch X2 instructions. This is the basic stitch for most of the Elegant Garden project. Step 1, we're going to string 2 beads. And now you want to slide them down and leave a 6-inch tail. Step 2, we're going to go back up through bead 1. This is your bottom bead. Step 3, the beads will sit side by side. Step 4, with the needle exiting the right bead, bead number 1, we're going to pick up 2 more beads. We're going to go down bead 2 and up bead 1 and 3. And the basis of the stitch is just to repeat this over and over. So I'm going to pick up 2 beads, go down the left bead, and up 2 right beads. I'll do it one last time. Pick up 2 beads, it can be any size and a variety of sizes, down 1 bead, and up 2 beads. The vine. Using a number 12 needle and 1.5 yards of fire line, let's build the vine using size 11 and size 15 seed beads. We're going to follow the chart, and on the left of the chart it tells you how many rows you're going to do. So you're going to start out with 10 rows and then go to 17 and then 7, and this is going to give you the curve in the vine. So let's start out with our first 10 rows. You're always going to pick up on the right hand side of the chart first. So we're picking up our 15 first and then our 11. We're going to slide this down, leave a 6-inch tail, and go back to the bottom bead. Do your 15. And your beads are going to sit side by side. You're coming out the right side of the bead. We're going to pick up another 15 and an 11. Go down the left bead. And up the right 2 beads. I'll pick up a 15 and 11. Go down the left bead. And up 2 beads on the right. So we're going to continue this for 10 rows. And it's going to start to curve like this. And then we're going to pick up 2 11s. And the 2 11s are going to straighten out the section. And then the third set is 7 rows of 15s and 11s, and it'll start to make a curve again. And just follow the chart and finish the vine. The leaves. Using a number 12 needle and 1.5 yards of fire line, we're going to build 6 leaves using size 15 seed beads and size 11 seed beads. We're going to follow the leaf chart and pick up 2 size 15 seed beads. You're going to leave a 6-inch tail and go back up to your bottom bead. Your beads are going to sit side by side, and now we're going to pick up 2 11s. We're exiting the right bead, going down the left bead, and up the 2 right beads. Now if you follow the leaf chart, on the left it says 1 row of 15s and then 2 rows of 11s. So I'm going to do 1 more row of 11s, down 1 bead, up 2 beads. The final row are 15s, so I'm going to pick up 2 15s, go down on the left, and up 2 beads on the right. Okay, so we've completed our chart of 4 rows, and now we're going to add a 15 bead to the bottom. And so I'm going to pick up a 15, I'm going to go down all the beads on the left hand side. And we're going to add an 11 bead to the bottom. So I'm going to go up 2 beads on the right. And now in my threads, put a half-hitch knot in between the 2 11s and then go through a few beads. Okay, so now you can take your needle off and cut your thread flush. And now you're going to want to put your needle on your tail and run through a few beads and trim that also. So go ahead and complete your 6 leaves. For this bracelet I did 3 blue ones and 3 green ones. The large flower. Using a number 12 needle and 1.5 yards of fire line, we're going to use the square stitch 2x instructions and follow the first chart of the large flower. You'll have 12 rows of size 8 and 11 seed beads. And here I've done 11 rows. You're always going to pick up the bead on the right hand side of the chart. So I'm picking up an 11 and an 8, coming down to the right hand side of the beadwork, going down 1 bead on the left and up 2 beads on the right. Okay, next we want to bring our ends together and tie this into a circle. So I'm going to use my tail and tie this in a double knot. Okay, so now we're just going to weave the beadwork in a circular motion to weave it together. So I'm going to go into a couple of 11 beads. I'm going to back up into my 8s and pull this together. So now we want to get to the center. So I'm going to go back into some 11s and cross the connection. Doesn't matter where you end up as long as you're in a coming out of an 11 bead. Okay, so now I'm going to take my needle and go down the center and bring it underneath, pick up my 4mm pearl and come back up to the center with my needle. I'm going to sit that pearl in the middle. So I'm diagonally going to go across from where I exited over to the other side into another 11. This is going to set it in place. And now I want to go into an 8 to get to the outside. Okay, now we're going to add sets of 2 to the outside. So I'm going to pick up 2 11s. I'm coming out of an 8 bead. I want to back up the 8 and go into 3 8s total. And we're going to repeat this for 6 sets. Picking up 2 11s, backing up an 8, going into 3 8s. Okay, so now we've added 6 sets of 11 beads all the way around the outside. I'm coming out of my 8, which has 2 11s attached to it. So I'm going to go in the right hand 11 and pick up 2 15s. I'm going to circle around and go back through that 11. And then I'm going to come into the 15 bead and stop there. The large flower petals. We're now exiting the center of the large flower. I'm using size 15 and 11 seed beads in a matte gray to make the petals. When we get to the center of the flower, I'll use a metallic silver bead for the netting. I'm exiting a size 15 seed bead and I'm following the chart in step 7. We've already completed the first row, so let's do 2 more rows of 15s. We're going to use the same stitch. So if you are coming out of your bead, you want to flip your flower whichever direction so that you're coming out the right side of the bead. We're going to pick up 2 15s, go down the left bead and up the 2 right beads. So according to the chart, now I've completed 3 rows of 15s. Okay, so according to the chart, you're going to do 3 rows of 15s, and then you're going to pick up a 15 and an 11. And you're going to do 5 rows of the 15s and 11s. And the final rows are going to be 15s, 3 rows of 15s. So when you get those rows finished, it's going to look like this. And so you want to start out coming out one of the 11s where you have a big gap. You're going to go directly to the other side. And this is going to curve around and create a petal. So I'm exiting the right side and I'm going to go through the 11. I'm just going to pull that petal together and I'm going to come up to 15. Okay, so now we have our petal attached, and so we want to start our netted stitch. So I'm going to pick up 3 of the metallic 15 beads. We're going to skip 2 beads and go into the 3rd bead. So we're creating the center. We're going to pick up 3 more 15s, and this time we're going to skip 3 beads and go into the 4th bead. I'm picking up 3 more 15s. This time we'll skip 2 beads and go into the 3rd bead. Now we have to add a final set of 3 15s to the base of the petal. So I'm picking up 3 and I'm just going into that bottom 15 on the other side. Okay, so now you want to work your way to the center of your set of 3, and we're just going to connect the 4 center beads. So I'm just going to go into each center 15. And it's going to pull the petal together. Okay, so I'll go back into my center bead and I'm going to work my way down so I can exit the outside of the petal. So I'm going to go back through this row here. And if you have trouble pulling your needle, just use your flat nose pliers and get through those beads easier. Okay, so I'm working my way back to the 11s here. And I'm going to go into the next 11 and I'm going to start my next petal. So I'll pick up 2 15s and I'll circle around and go back to the 11. And then we're going to repeat the same thing, and you'll complete a total of 5 petals. The medium flower 1, we're going to thread a number 12 needle with fire line, and we're going to pick up 12 15 seed beads. You want to slide these down towards your tail, leave a 6-inch tail, and tie it into a double knot. Okay, and then you want to travel into 3 15s to avoid the knot. Okay, and we're going to back stitch an 11 and an 8. So we're exiting the 15. We're going to back up 2 15s. Then you want to continue into 2 more 15s. So we're picking up an 11 and an 8, backing up 2 15s, and you're going into a total of 4 15s. Okay, so you're going to want to continue that until you have 6 sets, which I have here. And so now we're exiting a 15 bead, and we're going to pick up a 4mm pearl, and we're going to go directly across to the other side into a 15. That's going to set that pearl right in the middle. Okay, so now we want to work our way to the outside and start our petals. So we want to exit an 11 bead, and then we're going to pick up 2 15s and go circle around back through that 11 seed bead. Okay, and so I'm going to flip this over so we can work the same stitch we've been doing. And you're always going to exit the right side. And so I'll pick up 2 8s and go down the 15 on the left, and up the 15 and 8 on the right. Okay, so now I'm going to add a center 11 bead, so I'm just going to pick up an 11, go down the left 8, and up the right 8. And we're going to pick up 5 11s, go down the 8 on the left, and so now you just want to continue down through your 15, and into your 8 and your 11, and so you can start your next petal. Okay, so you're going to repeat step 4 and 5 and continue to add a total of 6 petals using half-hitch knots to end your thread. You want to cut and trim all of your threads. And if you look in the bracelet, this is the one we're making here. These are the 2 medium flowers, and this is the medium flower one. The medium flower 2. We're going to thread a number 12 needle with fireline using the square stitch X2 instructions. We're going to weave the center using 11 seed beads and 8 seed beads, and we're going to follow the chart. So we're going to take our tail and we're going to tie a double knot so we can pull this into a circle. Now we just want to pull our beads tighter, so I'm going to go into a couple of 8s and back up to my 11s and then cross the connection. Okay, so now I want to add my pearl, so I'm going to take my needle and go through the center, pick up my pearl and come back up through the middle and attach it to the other side to the 11. This will set our pearl in the middle. And so now I just want to work my way into an 8. And we're going to do the petals like we did before on the medium flower 1. We're coming out an 8 and we're backing up and going back to the 8 and then up to 15. So you always want to work on the right side to the left side. I'm going to pick up 2 8s, go down the 15 on the left, and up the 15 and 8 on the right. So we're going to add our center 11 bead, go down the 8 bead on the left, and up the 8 bead on the right. I'm going to pick up 5 11s and go down the 8 bead on the left and continue through your 15. Okay, so now we want to add a petal to every other 8. So I'm going to work my way, skipping an 8, and so we'll start the next petal here. So we pick up 2 15s, we're exiting the 8, and we're going to circle around and go back to the 8. And we go up your 15, pick up 2 8s, go down the 15 on the left. Those beads will sit side by side. Then you go up your 15 and your 8 on the right. We'll add our center 11. And then 5 more 11s. Going down the 8 and the 15, back through the outer 8, and continue into 3. So now I'm going to add the next petal. So you're going to add 6 petals, and if you look at the bracelet, here are the 2 medium flowers. This is the flower we're doing here. The mini flowers. We're going to thread a number 12 needle with fire line, and we're picking up 10 size 15 seed beads and bring those down, leaving a 6-inch tail, and we're going to tie that into a double knot. So you want to continue into 3 15s. This way you avoid your knots since we're working in pairs. So we're going to pick up 2 11s, and we're exiting a 15. We're going to back up 2 15s, circle that around, and then go into the next 2 15s. And we're just going to repeat this until we have 5 petals. Now we're going to pick up our 3mm bicone crystal, and we're going to cross directly to the other side and attach by going into the 15 seed bead. It's going to sit the crystal in the middle. And so I'm going to go into a couple 15s and exit the outer 11. Okay, so we want to put a 15 in the center in between the 2 11s. So I'm just going to pick up a 15 and go down the 11 on the left and back up the 11 on the right. Now you want to pick up 5 15s and go down the 11 on the left. Okay, so now I'm going to back up 2 of the 15s and then 2 more to get to the next petal. So we'll do the same thing again. Come out an outer 11 bead, pick up a 15, go down the 11 on the left and up the 11 on the right, and we pick up 5 15s and go down the 11 on the left. Okay, so you want to continue until you have 5 petals total, and we're building all the mini flowers, so you're going to need 6 total. So go ahead and finish your little mini flowers. Backstitch instructions. We're going to knot your thread and sew up at the place where you want your beads to begin. So I'm going to show you how to do a scroll here. So I'm going to come up right about here, so you're just going to estimate where you want the center to start. And so I've got a scrap piece of leather here to show you how to do it. So I'm going to come up from the bottom And so my knot's going to sit underneath, and I'm going to pick up 2 beads, and I'm going to slide these down to the leather and lay them flat, and then just go straight down. And then I'm going to back up from the beginning, come back up to the leather, and go back through my beads. Okay, so I'm going to pick up, let's see, I'm going to pick up 2 more, slide those down, lay them flush on the leather, and go straight down right at the end of your 4 beads. So now I'm going to back up 3 beads and go back through all of those beads again. And so now we're going to just start a swirl. And at this point you can continue with the 15s, or you can, we're basically going to use 15s and 11s for the project. So I'm going to start to swirl around. You can kind of use your thread to lay it out where you want it. And just keep repeating the same steps. So I'm backing up. Sometimes you have to poke it a few times to get to the spot you want to be at. So I'm backing up 3 beads and going into those beads. And so you're going to increase with larger beads, and just do a variation, and then you just want to get it going up to your vine. And so I've done a swirl on both ends here. You can add them wherever you want depending on what your design is. And then I also want to show you with regular beads what a backstitch is. And we've done this in our flowers. So you're picking up beads and going back to the bead. So that's a backstitch in beadwork. So go ahead and finish your swirls. Cutting the leather and the ultra suede. The width of your bracelet is 2 1/4 inches, and if you're making the alternate width, it's 1 1/2 inches. So to get the length, you're going to measure your wrist size and add 1 3/4 to 2 inches, and you can hold this against your wrist and see where you want your sizing to be. Always check with your wrist before your final cut to make sure that it feels right. And there's a template provided with the pattern, and so what I do is I cut mine out, and then you're going to lay it on your leather, and then you're just going to trim, and you want to use fabric scissors or joist chins, and you're just going to trim that curve around the edge. You can also do any style that you want. If you want a straight edge, you can cut it straight or do another design. And then you're also going to trim your ultra suede or your suede, whatever you're going to use for your backing. And so you're going to cut these to match. The attachment. We're going to attach the parts to the leather with a glover's needle. So we're going to start with the vine, and I'm going to lay my vine out. And go ahead and plan my design out. I'll go ahead and add, where I want to put my flowers and my leaves. and I'll get the whole thing laid out exactly where I want it, and then I'll remove everything except for the vine. And depending on your length, you can change your design as much as you want. So I've threaded a glover's needle with black KO thread, and I've added a knot to the end of it. So you want your thread to match your leather. And so I'm going to hold the vine right in the middle and pick it up, and I'm going to come up from the bottom right in the middle of the vine. You can use your mat to push your needle in. You can also use your pliers to pull your needle. These are really sharp needles, so please be careful. And so your knot is going to sit on the back of your leather. And then I'm just going to go down about a bead's width to the back again. And then I'm going to do a knot. And I'll go ahead and trim this. So if you look at your pattern, I've made red marks where you're going to do your attachment. And so I'll go along and I'll attach in 5 different places. And then I'll bring my thread up and I'll weave up and down through the center of the vine all the way down. And this is going to hold it in place. This is why you want the matching thread, so it doesn't really show. Then you're going to start adding your leaves. So you want to place your leaves where you want them. And then you're going to come up right next to your vine with your thread, pick up a couple of beads, and go into that end bead on your leaf, and then come back. So you get all of your leaves placed where you want them. And then you're going to attach your flowers. So as I do the flowers, I come up to the center and I attach the center pearl. And then I attach the end of each petal. And that's pretty much good enough to keep them in place. And so you want to complete all of that. And I'm going to show you in the backstitch instructions how to do the swirls. This is just a simple bead embroidery backstitch. Go ahead and get all of your parts attached, and it's easiest once you get your vine and your leaves on to work from right to left or left to right, you know, starting at one direction and working your way over. Attach the snaps. We're going to sew the snap to the leather. So I'm going to start out by knotting the end of my thread. I'm using my glover's needle. And so once you've finished all of your parts and you've attached them to the top of your bracelet, I'm just going to use a plain piece of leather for an example. We're going to attach a snap to one side. This will be the side where you have all of your beadwork. And I'm using a silver one so you can see it better. And then your back side, you're going to turn your other snap over and you're going to attach that to the other side. So you can use the same color thread here, or you can use a matching green thread. And I have a scrap of leather. I'm just going to show you the direction I go when attaching the snap. So I'm going to come up from underneath, and I'm just going to work from the inside to the outside. And I usually do about 3 or 4 times around. So work from the inside to the outside, and then you're going to hide all your knots on the back. So I'll do that on all 4 sections. Okay, so then once you have everything attached and you have your snaps sewn on, then you're going to turn it over to the back side. Your snap's going to be here, and you're going to turn that over. And you're going to take your tacky glue and you're going to cover both sides of the leather. And you can spread it out with your popsicle stick, and then you're going to take the 2 glued pieces and you're going to leave 1/8 of an inch all the way around both of them. This is going to leave room for your finishing. So you don't want to glue right to the edge. You want to leave about 1/8 of an inch where there's no glue. So you're going to take the 2 glued pieces and you're going to glue those together. And so this will be your 2 pieces that are glued together. And then we'll go in and finish our edging next. Picot Brick Stitch Edging. You're going to use a brick stitch edging to edge your bracelet, alternating size 11 and size 15 seed beads. And you want to use a matching KO thread and a glover's needle to do your edging. So I've added a knot to the end of my thread. And this will, all your beadwork will be on here, and this will be glued together so they'll be attached. And so I always start in a corner and always work left to right. So you're going to have a little bit of a lip here where there isn't any glue, where you can get in between the 2 pieces of fabric. And so you're just going to go underneath the top piece about a bead's width, let's see, from the edge. And you can use your bead mat to push your needle through, and you can also use your pliers to pull it through if you need to. Another thing I like to use when doing my edging, especially working with leather, is I like to use one of the finger gloves, and I just put it on my middle finger, and it gives you something to grip the needle with. So we're going to pick up an 11, a 15, and 11. And about 3 millimeter width, you're going to go straight down on the edge, and you're going to go through both pieces of fabric, the front and the back, because these will be glued together. Okay, now I'm going to go from the front, the inside to the outside, into the 11 bead. And it's going to lay those beads flat on the edge. So now we're going to pick up a 15 and 11, and same thing, about a bead's width, go straight down into both fabric, and then go from the inside to the outside into the 11. And so the 15s are just going to picot out on the edge, and the 11s are going to line up with your edge of your leather. So we're just going to continue that all the way around the bracelet. 15 and 11, and then go straight down. And I recommend using your scrap leather that you had left over before you cut your bracelet to just experiment with this and practice until you get your spacing, you know, about right. Because if you get it too far apart, it's going to ruffle up. If you get it too close together, it's going to do the same thing. So you just want to practice it till you get it nice and pretty. And so you're going to go all the way around with your edging, and when you get to the end, you're just going to connect your last 11 with a 15, and then work those together. Use half-hitch knots to end your threads. Alternate design. I just want to go over the difference between the large and the small bracelet that I have in the pattern. Obviously we have more flowers on this one, and it's wider, and the smaller version goes really fast compared to the larger one. You don't even have to do the large flower. You can just do a couple of medium flowers and 5 of the small mini flowers and the vine, and I think I have four leaves on here, and then I added a couple of swirls. So it's done exactly the same, just not as much work. And when you wear it, some people don't really like the wider cuff, and they'd rather have a thinner bracelet to wear. Also, your backing, You can use any type of backing. On some of them I use leather, and some of them I use suede or ultra suede. You can also use fabrics. You can also take the parts and incorporate it into your bead embroidery designs. And you can also change up your edging, do additional edging to the borders. And just this is a good way to do a gift if you don't want to spend a lot of time and do it quickly.